Hi, welcome back. This is Diane.Boerstler. We are all the way to Module 6. First, I want to tell you to give yourself a pat on the back and congratulate yourself. You've even made it this far. A lot of people before this point in time, just kind of decide that what they have is good enough, and they just, and not necessarily in this training, but I know a lot of people who haven't taken trainings like this decide that good enough is good enough, and they're just going to live with the sales and the lifestyle they have. So you should feel really proud of yourself that you have even made it this far. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to go into some really deep sales psychology. And, this has more to do with, what type of tactics you need to use in your sales copy on Amazon, in your Amazon listing, versus, who you're speaking to or what they need to hear. Okay. So you may need to watch this video a couple of times. There is a checklist provided for you that does explain all this as well. So if you watch it through once and feel like you have a pretty good understanding of this, please just feel free to download the checklist and use that as you're checking your listing and getting ideas for what to use in your listing. Otherwise, feel free to watch this as many times as you need, especially if you want to become a persuasion master. Let's hop right to it. Okay, so housekeeping and legalese. You already know who you can share it with, who you can't share it with, so just keep that in mind as you're out and about with your other Amazon sellers. This module is huge. It is really big in two major ways. First of all, it is by far the most complex. Okay, so in this module, my job is to take you from thinking like a regular Amazon seller or thinking like, any product seller or anybody for that matter, and turn you into a salesperson. Basically, I'm going to show you the tricks and tactics that people use to increase their sales, especially, top sales copywriters. And I mean top sales copywriters. A lot of sales copywriters don't even know these tactics, and I'm always shocked when I bump into one and, I'm talking about something like this and I'm really excited about it and saying, you can use this in your sales copy. Have you tried this? And they look at me with this blank stare. So I'm really hoping that, that this is something you can easily grasp. And I've broken it down into very, very small chunks so that you can grasp this. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know, because this module also is the one that tends to have the steepest learning curve. Now, if you've been in sales before or you've taken persuasion courses, you may already know some of this. Some of this might be a refresher. But if you haven't and you have been more on the product sourcing side or more on the logistics side, shipping, the legal side, any of those different areas, you're going to want to pay close attention here. Okay. The great thing about this is this alone, when I've taught this, has sold for over $3,000. So you're getting a lot of value in this course. And when you master this, you're going to understand how to write words that empower you to sell more of anything to anyone, whether that's on Amazon or any place else. That's in emails, sales pages, advertising, across the board. This is how you sell something, a belief, an idea, a product. This is how you sell it. Okay. So please be patient with yourself. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions if you have them. There's no question that's a stupid question in sales copy. It's always important to keep asking. And I have to ask questions all the time too. We're always finding new and more innovative and more powerful and faster ways to persuade people, especially as technology changes. So please, please, please ask questions. That being said, in this, you're going to watch this many times if you want to. I mean, you don't have to, but I regularly refer back to this training. You're going to want to watch this multiple times if you want to learn the tactics that steer the driving force behind all human behavior, right? Buying is a behavior. We're going to get more in depth into what it means to avoid pain and gain pleasure and how you actually put that to work in your Amazon listing. You're going to discover how to position any product as the go-to or have to have product among a sea of Me Too products. So that's like if you source a product and it's identical either in every way or in features and benefits to another product, how do you position yourself? How do you position that product as the go-to or must-have product, right? You're going to create high-converting listings that sing your product's praises and convert customer consideration into cash. So we're going to go through some of the basics, some of the myths, and some of the advanced tactics we use to do this. And then right after this, we're going to jump into actually writing your listing. So let's hop to it. Persuasion 101 to Master. I like to call this Persuasion 101 to Master because even if you've read, 5 persuasion books or, books on how to sell more products or sell more things, Even if you've read things like cash advertising and you've read, all of the books from all of the greats, this puts it all together. Every single tactic and trick that I use on a regular basis, the most powerful ones, the ones you really need to know, this puts them all together in a way that you can go and you can check off the boxes, right? So you don't have to refer back to 10 or 20 different books or 10 different trainings. You can just use this. So first of all, let's dispel some myths, right? So people say, Perry Marshall, this is paraphrased, nobody who buys a drill wants a drill, they want a hole, right? So they're buying it to get the outcome. They want a hole, right? They're buying it to get the benefit of a hole, right? But, Anders Bernard, who's also a copywriter, he's very, very good at it, also says, so if you're in the business of selling drills, do not market a drill, market yourself as an expert on how to make holes, or market your product as the best for making holes, right? We're going to go one step beyond selling a drill or a hole, and we're going to sell the transformation for, why they even want that hole in the first place, right? Let's see here. So myth number 2, when you're writing your sales copy, a lot of people say, well, I don't know that this grammar is 100% perfect. I need to write this like my English teacher taught me. No, not if you want to sell anything. We're using a conversational tone, okay? You're writing to one person, and originally we were creating that in the next module, which is why that says we'll create that in the next module, but you already know that. You know who that person is. You're writing how you speak to your best friend. Now, the only difference is if you're a stuffy brand, right? So if you're a stuffy brand that, let's say you have very high-end essential oils or a very high-end bag that you're selling, something that's very designer, you want to speak to them as though they're your girlfriend, but the way, like they're your best friend, but the way that you do it is by using their specific language, and their language tends to be a bit more formal and a bit, I like to say, stuffier. And most of the time, though, you want to write in an informal conversational tone to like a 7th grader. You're going to want to try to, and we'll go over that more in a minute as well. You're going to write to someone, write to everybody as though they only have a 7th grade education, even if they're making 6 and 7 figures a year. So, another Amazon myth. People buy because of features. They're only buying because they see my features. I only talk about my features because they know those are the features they want. Great. You have 5,000 other people selling your product, or a product that delivers the same results or has the same features, right? Who's going to win? The person who helps the buyer to buy based on emotion and then justify it with logic, or the person who's just logically saying, well, this comes with 2 nuts and 2 bolts and, 2 screws and 2 sheets of metal and, like what's more important? Who's going to buy, right? Who are they going to buy from? They're going to buy from you if you push their hot buttons and you help them to decide that's what they should buy based on emotion, and then give them the power of the features to justify with logic, okay? So you want them to get excited and confident and click add to cart, right? And that's where the emotion comes in. But, and again, we'll get more into this later. This is more, it's kind of like a 30,000 foot view. But after they click add to cart, they're thinking, oh dear, how am I going to justify spending this money? Or what am I going to tell my spouse when they see this bill? Or what am I going to tell them if they think another product would have been better? Or what am I going to tell myself if, you know what I mean? So we need to give them both. We need to evoke emotion to get those endorphins raging, right? When you buy something, when you're being sold to, I don't know if you know this yet, but you might. If you're being sold to, you actually have negative hormones that flow through your body. If you feel like you're being sold to, it's the same feeling of terror. People get a feeling of terror, like they're about to be assaulted when they're being sold to. So what you need to do is evoke emotions that they like to feel, and those are more buyer emotions, to get their endorphins raging. And these are good, positive endorphins. These are endorphins that tell their brain, I feel excited, I feel happy, I can see these results happening in front of my eyes. And then we justify it with logic so they buy, right? So we're kind of looking at the myths right now. And like I said, we'll go more into depth on this. More myths busted. Selling is slimy. I hate to sell. I hate being salesy. I hear this all the time. I don't want, and clients send me this message all the time. I really want to hire a copywriter, but I really don't want somebody who's salesy. Okay, great. I don't like being salesy either. I don't like to sell either. Selling feels yucky. So it feels slimy. A lot of people tell me slimy. That's a good adjective there. So, we're not selling. We're positioning your product in a way that empowers your customer to talk themselves into buying it so they get that endorphin rush. You're really literally giving your customer like a rush of really positive endorphins in their brain and really positive energy. People hate to be sold to, but they get an endorphin rush when they buy. So we're helping them do that. And we're doing that by providing help, like therapists, how we discussed before, and solving your friend's problem in what looks like the fastest, easiest, most joyous, pain-free way possible, right? Here's another one. Amazon doesn't like it when. This was originally in my first, in the first module, or in the welcome, I think is where it was. But I decided to move it here because I was getting that objection more during this part of the course. So Amazon loves everything in this course. And the reason for that is because Amazon's number one goal is to make a bunch of money. The higher your listing converts, the more money you make, and the more money they make. And there's this cool chain effect. So the more money they make, the higher your bestseller rank, the more love they give your listing, the higher it goes, it ranks in the search engine results, and the more organic traffic you get. So the more conversions you get, and the more sales you get, the more money you make, the more money they make, the more they raise your listing. So you want to get sales and conversions. Those are key to raising your listing, right? Those are key to increasing your listing. So that being said, a legal thing to cover my rear, at this time, what I'm teaching here is 100% Amazon compliant. If for some reason it becomes non-compliant with Amazon's terms and conditions and all of their fun rules, I will record a video before this video to let you know what has changed. So you'll see an addendum video, right? As of this time, though, as of in November of 2017, this is 100% Amazon compliant. A lot of people tell me don't use all caps or special characters, or they don't tell me not to do it. They don't. No one tells me not to do it. They say shouldn't, hey, I was looking at this, like, should I avoid using all caps or special characters? Previous students always ask that. So the answer is no. You need to use all caps. Until Amazon starts enabling things like underline and bold and italics, you need to use all caps because you have to gratify and satisfy every reader. And when readers come to your page, we already know that they're coming from a certain customer awareness level of your brand and your product type and the solutions it provides. And of their problem, right? But what we don't realize, what we don't think about often is they're coming from two different buyer processing mindsets. So one of them is conscious mind, and one of them is what we call the reptilian or caveman or subconscious mind, right? So people who are coming in the reptilian or subconscious mind, which is the same thing, they are skimmers. Right? So they're in a rush. They are skimming to look for those specific words that are going to stop them and make them read. So your job is to stop them and make them read, to slow their roll. As my husband says, slow their roll. He tells the kids that. So you're going to want to do that by using what's called a written tonal marker, which is all caps. Okay? Or you can use, if you prefer to use this within your listing, within your bullet points, you can use little asterisk symbols to draw attention to it. But usually all caps, it works better. You're going to do this. You're going to use this for important features that they really need to see. And we know what they need to see because we did our competitive analysis, right? You're going to use this for important benefits. You're going to use this for your hypnotic feature anchors, which we're going to go over shortly. You're going to use this basically to point out all the things that would make them stop and read. You're also going to use this for your hook at the very beginning. Okay, at the beginning of each bullet point. And I put a lot of focus on bullet points because while your title is one of the most important portions of getting ranked, your bullet points are the most important portion where we've seen the highest jump in conversions to getting more sales. So bullet points are for sales and, of course, also for ranking, but your title is really for ranking and grabbing attention. We'll go more into that too. Sorry, I feel like I'm jumping ahead of myself here. I'm getting so excited. I'm really excited to show you how to actually write the listing and not just go through the tactics and things like that. But I know this is really important because there are a lot of programs out there that teach you how to just write the listing, but they don't go into the human psychology behind it. And so when you write the listing, sure, you've written a listing, you have words on a paper, but you're not increasing conversions. Our whole goal is to increase conversions, get more sales, lower the cost of marketing traffic, and then profit from it and have an awesome lifestyle. So, okay, so those are skimmers. Those are people who are reptilian subconscious, in the reptilian subconscious state of mind, right? And usually these are really, really busy people. And that's why we have to have them slow down and read. So then we have the conscious readers, right? The deep readers. That is why we look for specific language. Okay, look for trance words. We look for hot button phrases. You have to touch every hot button, or as many as possible, so they feel they're making the right decision. They kind of feel like they've come home, right? It's like when you've been gone for a long, long time and you come home and you just sit down on your couch and have a cup of coffee. That's what we want them to feel. We want them to feel completely safe, completely trust you, and be excited enough to click that add to cart button and check out. So, here's one that really gets me. A lot of people talk about, when they talk about transformative copywriting or transformational copywriting, they say, well, all you have to do is make them see success. Never talk about the negative. Okay. We need to future pace regret. That means we need to make them see what their life is going to be like in the future if they don't have the solution and the transformation your product delivers. Okay. We also need to future pace success. We need to make them see your product as the winning solution before they even buy. And this creates a void they must fill, right? So there's like this, almost like this emptiness they feel inside of them. And then and next time you're shopping, look at the things that you buy and see if, as long as they're not name brand items where they've already anchored a brand image and a brand personality and a brand feeling, look at the things you're buying and start feeling this gap and notice when you're saying, okay, well, I walked in here and, I walked into this digital store and I have this problem and it's causing me issues. And if I don't solve these issues, here's what my future is going to look like. If I do solve these issues, here is what my future is going to look like, right? And notice how there's a gap in between there that makes you really want to just take action. That's an action gap, right? The other thing you can do is you can consider pointing out your product flaws, little ones. And when you do that, it makes you seem more sincere and trustworthy. So, you can say something like, while this is only the second largest inflatable mattress, customers say it's far more comfortable, and then, list what customers say. Or while this is only the second largest, inflatable mattress, it includes XYZ technology, which is 2 additional layers of this. And so, so it's far more comfortable than the smallest or the biggest inflatable mattress on the market, right? So you can point out your flaws there, just little ones. Don't point out anything major. So by taking this training, those are the biggest myths we had to overcome. And I might talk about a few more as we're going through here. Sorry, pardon me. By going through this, you're agreeing to give your listing a lot of love. Okay, think of your listing like a 24/7 salesperson. So let's say that you are the CEO of this multi-billion dollar company. Let's say that you're the CEO of Microsoft. Or let's just say you're Bill Gates, right? Let's go straight to that. Let's say you're Bill Gates and you're launching a new product. Do you think Bill Gates would go and create the perfect design, source the perfect product, create the perfect packaging, and then set it out on the sidewalk and hope somebody buys it? Or do you think Bill Gates would actually market that product and create the best marketing copy and the best USP and point out the best benefits and the features and transformations possible? Well, you obviously know he's going to do the second one. Any successful business owner does this. Every successful business owner does this. It's just like mindset. They all do mindset work every single day, and it means something different for each of them. And they all go and make sure that they have their marketing and advertising aligned is the best 24/7, 365-day-a-year salesperson they can possibly hire, right? Because it works for them nonstop. And they need it to work for them. They're putting money behind it. They're putting time behind it. They're putting effort behind the creation of the product. So don't drop the ball on your listing. Make sure to give it as much love as possible. After you launch, it is your main focus. Okay? Of course, you have to go back through and reorder and, restock and deal with Amazon issues and, there's marketing, but really this is the person that is going to sell your product for you. You also want to treat your Amazon or your e-commerce listing as a full sales page. The title on Amazon, you're going to think of it like a sales page headline. Okay? It's a little bit drier because you're infusing SEO keywords into it, search engine optimized keywords into it. that your buyers will use to buy. They'll use to search and then buy. You want to think of your bullet points as bullet points you'd see on a sales page. And you want to think of your description as a sales letter. It needs to restate why they should buy, restate what they get, and have a call to action, or it needs to have a transformative story that takes them through where their life is now, where it's going to be in the future, where, and how this is going to help them. Sorry, trying my hardest not to cough here. You're also going to speak or write to one person, which we talked about. And this is important to mention because you're going to do that 100% ethically at all times. Don't use this to lie to people. It's going to come back to you in your reviews. No trickery, no funny business. I'm sure I don't even have to tell you this, but you want to make sure that you're using, excuse me, that you're using this in the most ethical manner possible. Because what you want to really be doing is building a brand reputation that people trust so that you become that next big brand name, right? This is kind of a launching platform for that. So a couple of things you're going to see on your checklist, actually not a couple, a lot of things you're going to see on your checklist. We have these sentences we call zombie sentences, and they are sentences that use boring passive verbs instead of active verbs. So we're going to swap out the boring passive verbs for the active verbs after you write your listing. This isn't something you're going to do before you get started. So this is, again, just explaining the checklist you're going to go through. So passive verbs are verbs like was, is, are, were, should be, can be, plus the verb. So instead of saying the product was released by the company yesterday, that's passive, you would say the company released the product yesterday. That's active. So the noun is acting on the verb, right? So company is the noun, released is the verb. The noun's acting on the verb. The noun controls the verb. So you're going to write as actively as you possibly can. I learned this really cool thing a little while ago, this really cool test, and it's called the zombie test. Okay, and this credit goes to Crazy Egg because that's where I learned about this. So if you just add zombies after every verb, I'm assuming you know what a verb is. It's an action word, right? Sorry, I should have gone into that. A verb is an action word. So it's like run, jump, play, those type of words. If you add buy zombies after every verb, you'll see that the passive sentences make sense, and you'll need to make those active sentences, and that if you add buy zombies after every verb, the active sentences don't make sense. So the best way to do this is to show you an example of this. So this product was bought by zombies yesterday, right? So you can say zombies bought a product. I mean, yeah, they don't exist. You could say by kittens if you want instead. I just like zombies. This product was purchased by zombies yesterday. That's passive, right? He bought by zombies a book yesterday. Okay. As you can see here, the noun is controlling the verb. The verb is bought, the noun is he. So you're going to just want to put in buy zombies. So look through all your verbs. This will only take you like 3 minutes to do. And you'll get it. First of all, I get a crack out of it because I do it still. I still use a lot of passive verbs and I have to go through and change it. But this is one of the most powerful sales copy techniques you can use. So if you go through and say buy zombies, it was decided by zombies that the CTA must be changed, right? Buy zombies. That's passive. That makes sense. We decided by zombies to change the CTA. That's active. You actually want to go with the active, right? Okay. This is probably the most eye-opening and popular part of the training. And this is the most simplified part. And I really enjoy teaching this. In every sales conversation you have, whether it's with somebody digitally in your Amazon listing or in real life, you need to be able to elicit the emotions that they need to feel before they'll buy, right? There's this really cool thing I discovered a couple years ago, and it's called the emotion wheel. So let's say, for example, that you need to help them feel fearful, right? Let's say they're a parent, they're buying a product, and you need to help them feel fearful. You can go and pick 1 or 2 words from here and 1 or 2 words from here, and then you stack them in 3. So these are transitional emotions, and these are intense emotions. That's what I refer to them as, right? So, you would say something like, you would choose like 1 intense emotion, maybe 2, and you would choose 1 or 2 here. You want to have 3 total, okay? So let's say that you're selling a flea shampoo, okay? You want a playful, content, thankful pup, right? nowhere in here, and let me back up a bit. So you want the owner to feel happy, and you want, as they're reading your listing, and you want the owner to feel their dog will be happy because they feel guilty that their dog is going through this. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. Either that or they're just sick of fleas jumping around and they feel annoyed. But usually they feel guilty. So we want to take them from feeling guilty, which is kind of sad, right? Sad falls under guilty. And we want to take them over to feeling playful, content, and to feeling happy. So if we look at happy, right, and I always like to start with the positive. It's just easier to think of what they're going to get instead of what they won't have in the future, at least for me. So if we look at happy, we can say, okay, well, are puppies, playful? Do they want their dog to feel content? Do they want their dog to feel joyful, curious, inquisitive, thankful? So you just pick out the words that describe more of what they want to feel, right? So it wouldn't make sense to say an interested, proud, and respected dog, right? You want a playful, content, thankful puppy, not an interested, proud, valued pup, okay? So make sure that those adjectives you're using, those emotion triggers, actually make sense. And notice how when you read that, when you see the words playful, content, thankful pup, you tend to feel happy. Nowhere are we using the word happy. You can use happy, but you might want to really power that up with one of these words, right? A word that's more specific, that helps them feel this emotion, not a word that tells them to feel this emotion. It triggers this emotion, right? So as we've mentioned many times before, it's just as critical to future pace regret, which means the regret of things staying the same in the future if they don't buy that product. So let's say that, their dog feels bitter, distant, and betrayed, right? You can also say their dog feels sad. So you can say their dog feels, they're sad, vulnerable, depressed, and you can say victimized. This might be a bit strong though. Embarrassed would be a good one. So you're taking them from having a vulnerable, depressed, embarrassed dog into a playful, curious, joyful pup, right? So I used bitter, distant, and betrayed before. So essentially you'd say stop, which is a pattern interrupt, right? Stop is an important thing to say. People will stop and read. Stop feeling bad for your bitter, distant, betrayed pup and get back the playful, curious, and joyful pup you love when you click add to cart now. And that's a very simple one. So, we're just looking at this, like which emotions do we need to trigger for that product? And that goes back to how they want to feel, right? Do they want to feel happy and surprised? Surprised is a great one for gifts. Happy is a great one for everything else. And then where are they at? Have they had a bad experience before? Are they jaded? Are they fearful? Are they angry? Are they disgusted? Are they sad? So look at those. And it's funny how many more negative emotions encompass this than positive emotions. But this is what you want them. You want to be able to look at this and say, where are they at right now? Where do I want them to be? I want to take them from feeling bad or feeling fearful to feeling surprised, right? And some of the surprised ones are even more negative, like dismayed, shocked, astonished, eager, energetic. It's so funny how surprise can mean so many different things. So pick the ones that are positive if you want them to feel a positive emotion and you're triggering the emotion of surprised. Pick the ones that are negative if you want them to feel a negative emotion and you're triggering, that emotion of surprise. So next thing we're going to do with our listings after we write them is we're going to power up and intensify every word. Okay, so you can say, we call this the OSF, often, sometimes, frequently, because it's really challenging to say always, unless you're saying we always provide top-notch VIP customer service, right? Because you can control that. You can't say, our product always delivers XYZ, our product always cures cancer, and you can't say cures cancer at all. But you can't say our product always, delivers this benefit. But you also don't want to be weak, right? You don't want to come across as weak. You don't want to say customers often say, XY, customers often say this is the best decision they ever made. Or customers sometimes say this is the best decision they ever made. You want to say customers frequently say, okay? It's increasing the power and intensity of the word. You don't want to use the word angry if you can use the word frustrated. You don't want to use the word frustrated if you can use the word enraged. It triggers a stronger emotional effect, right, within their brain. You don't want to say happy if you can say gleeful. You don't want to say gleeful if you can say ecstatic. So basically, you're going to go through and power up all the words in your listing. Look at those and say, okay, how can I make this more powerful? And again, you're doing this with the words that are are the words in between your trance words and your hot button words. And that'll make sense when we go through the listing more than it does now, maybe. But, like if you want to say, you're talking about someone, let's say it's a hair product. Are you tired of bland, dull, lifeless hair, right? So you can use it for 3 in a row. Use a bland, dull, lifeless hair. Or you can say, is your hair lifeless, right? I just kind of put that there to see if you could guess what it was. Shiny, lustrous, and you're transforming it into a shiny, lustrous, glow, right? Are you happy and overjoyed? Are you over the moon? Can you use that? Right? So just look at ways to power up and intensify every word. Okay, so this week you're going to want to be looking at the words that you use and power those up. If you work in a job where you write emails or where you write letters, or even if you're working on your Amazon listings, just go through and see how you can speak and write using more powerful, high impact words, right? Your whole goal here with these words is to trigger desire or trust or belonging or instant gratification, which is a feeling of instant gratification, or to make them feel like the leader they want to be, or make them feel like they're loved or lusted after, or make them feel like they have money, because these are different things these are different human elements that we trigger, or make them feel hope, right? So, and again, we're going to go more into how to use that when we're writing the listings. So VAKOG language. VAKOG language stands for visual, auditory, kinesthetic, and then olfactory and gustatory. You're going to use these words to paint a really vivid picture so they see in their mind's eye how their life will change. So humans tend to be heavily leaning towards one or the other. So for example, 60% of us are visual. We tend to resonate more with people who use the same words we do. We use visual words. We identify with visual words. We buy from people who are like us. We buy from people we identify from. So you're going to want to use a balance of about 60% visual words in your listing, right? Auditory words. Auditory are sound, speech, dialogue words, like white noise. You're going to want to use a balance of, I think it's 30%. Auditory is 30%, right? So you're going to want to use auditory words. So they say, oh, this person's like me. I buy from people I like. I buy from people I'm like. So, I want to buy from this person. And again, this is just a boost. This isn't something that you absolutely have to do, but this is a really good way to build rapport, right? Just like using those trance words and using their hot button, language. This is a great way to build rapport and to build trust. Kinesthetic, it accounts for about 10% of the population lean heavily towards kinesthetic. And again, everybody has a balance of these, but some people are just, far more kinesthetic than they are, auditory or visual. And that has to do with both the physical, tangible, somatic feelings in the body, like temperature and pressure, and also has to do with emotions. There's also self-talk, and we've talked about that. Like, do they believe they can do it? We have to get over that self-talk, right? You can figure out which one you are based on the words you use the most. You can even go through and say, well, which is my child? Which one is my child? Which one is my, start identifying, are my coworkers visual, auditory, kinesthetic? Start using those words, those visual words if they're visual, auditory if they're auditory, kinesthetic if they're kinesthetic, in your everyday language to build your vocabulary. And you're going to see some big differences. You're going to see their shoulders. You'll see some physical differences. So they'll look at you more in the eye, which is an indication of trust. Their shoulders will drop. They'll look more relaxed. They'll reveal more things to you. Their breathing will slow. They won't be in such a rush. They'll want to talk to you. The next time they have a problem, they'll approach you. So, and they'll start to approach you more and more. So that's just something, it's building rapport, right? And they'll trust you, which is the most important thing. So instead of writing out, all of the hundreds of words that are visual and auditory and kinesthetic here, I have included a link to an awesome list that's online. You can grab it. Again, you have the slides and you should be downloading them. So you should have this. So you can grab it from this website right here. The next thing, also there's olfactory and gustatory, right? I keep clicking that. There's olfactory and gustatory. Olfactory are words that trigger the actual scent reaction in the brain. And gustatory are words that trigger the actual taste reaction in the brain. So you'll want to use words for olfactory that are words like, aroma or scent or if it's negative, smell or stench, right? And you only use that if it's pertinent to your product. You don't ever want to say your competitor's product stinks, right? But you know, if that's a positioning aid, so if their product stinks and yours doesn't, you can use that. You can talk about the stench and the smell, right? If that's the negative of other products compared to yours. For gustatory, that's taste, right? So you want to trigger their body having specific salivation effects. So you can talk about, you can talk about mouth-watering. You can talk about delicious. You can talk about scrumptious, right? Those are gustatory words. You can also use specific words that are known to cause a reaction. So for example, if you're selling essential oils, you might say something like, use this in lieu of lemons for, cleaning your countertops, right? Lemons trigger a salivation effect. You can also say, you can talk about steak if you're selling a steak roller. You can talk about, the juiciness of burgers if you're selling a burger press. You can talk about the crispness of the fruit. You can talk about if you're selling like an apple slicer. You can talk about, I'm really big on gustatory, obviously. You can talk about the chewiness of the texture and the delicious, like umami effect for beef jerky. Okay, so you can use these for any product out there, but you want to make sure it's specific to your product. Okay. This one's a biggie. So it's going to sound like I'm over speaking this, but it's really, really important. You want to look at every single word, every single sentence, and ask yourself, does this word or sentence make me want to read to the next, right? So we'll start from the top at Amazon. You're going to go back through and check after you've written your listing and say, do the words and images in Amazon search engine results, right? That's on the search page, make my prospects want to click and learn more? Does it cause them to literally want to click and learn more? Or are there other people on that search results page that are, outperforming you? If that's the case, then you need to rewrite your title or you need to get a better image. And there are title templates. So, you're going to see how you write a title that gets people to click very easily. So don't think you have to know this already. Then you say, do the words that you see, once they've clicked, they're going to see your title and your bullet points. Do the words they see in the title make them want to keep reading and learn more or click add to cart, right? So you need them to keep reading the bullet points, or you need to, so they can learn more, or you need them to click add to cart. Does the first bullet point want to make me keep reading to all the other sentences in that bullet point, or click add to cart now? Does the second bullet point make me want to keep reading all the sentences in that bullet point and jump to the next one, or click add to cart now? Does the third bullet point make me want to keep reading and learn more to the fourth bullet point, or click add to cart now, right? Does the fourth bullet point, same thing, fifth bullet point, does it make me want to either click add to cart now or read the description? So basically, does every headline, sentence, and word in the description make me want to keep reading and learn more or click add to cart now? Okay, so that seems like it's pretty self-explanatory, but people sometimes hit kind of they don't realize they've done it. They hit kind of a rut in their copy. And it's like you have all these exciting, awesome, powerful sentences. Then you have like this one sentence that people are like, oh, I got bored. I'm going to leave now. And you're missing out. You're missing out on sales because of that. So it's really important. And this is a basic copywriting principle. You use this with emails, sales pages, advertising, etc. Right? So here's some awesome tips for creating hot copy, just in case you need some inspiration or start feeling a little bit bored, right? And these are also some tips that some of these you should follow and some of these you can follow. So for example, you can create novelty, right? And we can use hypnotic anchors to create novelty as though it's a new technology where none previously existed. You can simplify. Okay, people don't want to require anything that requires too much time, energy, or money. They say, they don't want to require anything that requires, they don't want to buy anything that requires them to have enough brains or talent to make this work. So they'll buy. So you always want to highlight that it's the fastest way possible, if it is, the easiest way possible, if it is, the most affordable way possible, if it is, in your Amazon product listing. And of course that pertains to your product. So how does your product make it the how is buying your product the fastest way to getting to the end result they want, to getting to that transformation? How is buying your product the easiest way to getting to the end result they want, to getting to that transformation? How is it the most affordable way to getting there, right? So affordability doesn't just mean that it's the lowest price, as we all know. Affordability means, that it delivers value. It delivers more value. So instead of them having to go out and purchase 10 different programs, they took the sales copy program and it taught them everything they ever needed to know. That made it more affordable, right? Instead of having to go out and buy 6 different facial creams, one that lifts your eyes, one that lifts your brows, one that tightens your forehead, one that tightens the gullet under your neck, one that makes your skin look flawless, one that helps with your acne or rosacea, and one that does who knows what, it's just one product. So it's 6 in 1, right? So affordability can be about 3 in 1, 2 in 1, 3 in 1, 4 in 1, 5 in 1, 6 in 1, products that solve multiple problems. Okay, this is one I don't suggest you use a lot, but sometimes it's a good idea, and you may find that time. So I thought I'd mention it here anyway. So you need to point out the common enemy, right? And when you're doing this, don't point out race, religion, or politics as a common enemy. 1, it's against Amazon's terms and conditions. 2, it's going to upset a lot of people, right? This is really fun when you can do it. So let's think about a way to point out a common enemy. The common enemy, if you're having this is the most common example of the common enemy, is talking about another product that can harm you. So for example, let's say you're a mom and you're buying diaper wipes, or you're a dad and you're buying diaper wipes online. Are you going to think, yeah, there's all these toxins and things in this world that can hurt my kids and harm their health, and I'm really health conscious, and we buy the best laundry detergent, we buy the best this, and we buy the best that, and it's totally natural and it's organic. You need to point out the common enemy of the toxins. You need to point out the common enemy of what they will do to that child, and you can just say health, health defects. You can say health effects. You can say any number of things, right? It's specific to your products, but that's a good common enemy. Another common enemy that I've used is within art supplies, right? So art that turns out, it's almost like art is the problem. The art is like a criminal acting on the victim, who is the artist. Excuse me. So, okay, and we're back. Another coughing fit. Sorry about that. I did promise I was going to get this up on time, so I'm fighting through this, and we're going to get it done. So, this is, like I was talking about, the common enemy in art supplies. You can look at the common enemy as like, it could be paints that dry out or cake or don't smoothly glide across your canvas, right? Completely destroying the artwork that you've worked so hard to create. Okay, so the common enemy could be the paints, the art supplies themselves. Common enemy with the, let's go back to the cot, could be just overall, you could use the common enemy as flimsy, horrible products, right, that deliver no value and put you at risk of injury. So you can use this common enemy in many, many ways. Just avoid race, religion, and politics. You want to paint a vivid picture. We've talked about this a lot. The way that you paint a vivid picture is by basically triggering and activating their subconscious imagination. Sorry. So you're going to power up your language, which we talked about before, with the different emotions, and you're going to power up your language with stronger, more intense words, so they feel that electrical charge within the nervous system, and they start imagining what it's going to be like with and without your product. Inspire curiosity. This one is really, really important on Amazon. You need to create what we call an information gap that their brain must fill. And you might have heard of this called clickbait before, but on Amazon we kind of call it reading bait, right? So it's like an itch that's driving you crazy. You have to scratch. So that's why we use those tonal markers to drive that curiosity. So they have to keep reading and see, what in the world are these people talking about? Okay, I didn't know about this. What's this? Oh, I wanted to read more about this. I wanted to learn more about this. How does their product differ from the other one? And you use this as the hooks in the beginning of your bullet points to get people to read more. You use the hypnotic anchors often create this because people want to know about new technology. It's both novelty and a curiosity trigger. And it's a positioning anchor, which is really nice. And then you're going to use this as those tonal markers throughout your bullet points. Social proof. We've talked about this several times. People buy from people who are both like them and from people who've sold to people like them before. So yes, there are reviews for most Amazon products. We can highlight those in the copy. So we're going to go into the way to do that in your bullet points. But basically, you're going to start with a hook that says customers say, and then you can use the next word if you want to keep them reading, right? And use that, when I say use the next word, I mean put customers say, and then what customers are saying in for that first word. You'll see it when you'll understand it better when I actually go through it. Use the first word in that review or that testimonial blurb that you've pulled and I'll show you how to do that, like I said, and I think it's in the bullet point section, the bullet points module. You're going to use that to create social proof, right? Social proof is also those stars. Like if you have 4.6 out of 5 stars, those count as social proof. So Amazon already has some social proof built in. The fact that your product is even up on Amazon creates social proof. Okay, and it creates a trust anchor. People trust Amazon, so they're more likely to buy from you. They trust Amazon's payments. They trust Amazon's payment processes. They trust Amazon's platform. They trust their security. They trust they're not going to leak their information. It's not just a website they find in the middle of nowhere. They trust Amazon, right? Create value references. So we have talked about this before as well. Again, this is just more going over the checklist before we start writing so you can start seeing how this is implemented. So to create a value reference, you're going to show the relative advantage of buying your product over another. And that often means poking holes in competitive products. Okay, that doesn't mean using specific brand names. Again, do not harp on a specific brand name. Do not harp on a specific product name. So for example, if, it's like Huggies Dry and Clean, don't say unlike Dry and Clean wipes. That puts you at risk of a lawsuit. You also want to make customers feel significant. If you can have anything, if you can discuss your VIP customer service, if you have that. If you don't say that, because people will feel really disillusioned and, they'll disband from your brand. You can say, really smart people buy this product in copywriting terms, obviously. You can leverage community. Make them feel like they're a part of your community already. So this is great for passion products. So if someone is really big into bicycling, you can talk about your bicycling community. You are, if someone is really big into art, you can talk about how, they're joining a larger global community of artists who are making a difference by purchasing a product where 30% of all proceeds go to teach kids art in foreign countries so they can sell it on the street in India and make money so they don't starve to death. You're not going to say all that, but that's kind of giving you the general idea, right? You're going to make your product feel hot off the press. So if you can use words like new or revolutionary, or, find ways to create hypnotic anchors in your copy, then you're going to be really far ahead of your competition. Your competition standing next to you is going to look like that really dull, gray-skinned, blah-haired person who never takes care of themselves. Okay. Speaking of that, you can create sex appeal. Now, this is a big one we need to go into. Like I have a warning for this one. There's like a disclaimer here, right? You can't harass them. So harassing them would be saying, you need to look sexier. We always want to uplift people and never shame people. So instead of saying, you need to look sexier, you want to paint this picture. Just think of the look he'll give you when he sees you in your new, let's say it's like a bra or something, bralette, right? So, you can create sex appeal if it's pertinent to your product. Don't create sex appeal for a product that it's not pertinent. Beef jerky isn't sexy most of the time. I don't think it's sexy. So anyhow, unless you see all of your competitors' customers talking about how sexy the beef jerky is or how sexy it makes them feel, avoid this. Induce a feeling of scarcity. If they don't get it now, it'll be gone. This one's really, really tricky on Amazon, but there's 2 ways to do it. You can create a limited time bonus, or you can run a limited time special until we run out, right? So you don't have to use, just as a reminder, this is on your checklist. You don't have to use all of these tips every time, but it's really helpful to go through these every time and say, hey, I see a way I can add this to my listing and increase my conversions. And use as many as you can, of course. So, pardon me. As I promised, we're going to go into what makes this copy so brilliant and what really, really, really drives those sales. And that's creating transformation. Okay, so there are listings that do 4, 5, and 6-figure months. I'm sorry, there are listings that do 4 figures a month, or 3 figures a month, or 2 figures a month, or they do sometimes even, but rarely do they do 5 figures a month. Just by talking about features and benefits, right? They just, these are listings that you might see, these 5-figure a month listings. They'll talk about the ease fast, affordability, or how it saves time or energy or money, or it makes time or energy or money. Those are not outcomes. Those are not transformations. Okay. So the transformation is how their life is actually going to change, what it's going to look like when they open their eyes in the morning and they've used that specific product, or they're using that specific product. How is their life smoother? How is it more fun? How is it more enjoyable? How is it, if it's a product that makes them more money somehow or another, how is it they're going to go spend that money, right? How will their life transform? Instead of having to go to work every single day. It's like with Amazon sellers, when I'm talking to them I'm talking to you guys about your why. Some people who take this program are still working a 9-to-5 job and they hate it. And so their time changes, with this program, because they wake up in the morning after they've mastered this and have put their listing up and, answered the questions they need to answer. They wake up in the morning and they start seeing sales roll in, and suddenly they turn around and they realize they're in the position to quit their job, right? Their life is transformed. So now, instead of waking up in the morning and saying, okay, well, I've got to get up, I've got to get dressed, I've got to put on my shirt and my suit, my tie, my pants, my socks, my shoes, I've got to drive 3 hours in traffic, I've got to, sacrifice time with my family, I've got to sit down at a desk and do what somebody else tells me to, I've got to type these boring, monotonous reports, I have to, and this is only if you really want to leave your job and spend more time with your kids, and then I have to drive 3 hours home, and then I have to deal with angry employees and angry customers and angry, whatever it is that you have to deal with, that's the thing you're moving away from, right? So we're going to paint that picture in their mind. Like, what are they moving away from? Then we're going to move them towards, right, what they really want. So let's say that overnight they snap their fingers, right? Their lives change. It's like waking up and you're an Amazon seller, and suddenly you realize, oh my gosh, this is the first day of my entire life I don't have to go to work. I get to wake up, I get to snuggle with my kids in bed, I get to have coffee with my wife or my husband or my partner, or, by myself, meditating, looking at the window on top of a mountain in Peru, whatever you want to do, right? And then you're going to kind of paint that picture of like what that day looks like. You're going to be thinking, instead of on the left-hand side, I would have been driving to the office right now, I am now on the right-hand side, sitting down to source more products calmly and enjoyably, from wherever you source products from, with my favorite cup of coffee. And I'm in my pajamas and I'm wearing slippers, right? I'm super comfortable. I'm really happy, right? Instead of at lunchtime when you're scrambling to figure out how to have enough time to eat at your desk with your left hand and type with your right hand, you're sitting there and you are enjoying a homemade lunch, or maybe you go out to lunch, okay? And what that looks like, yeah, it's so great to be served by a server and have, a mimosa at lunch with a giant juicy, like vegan mushroom burger or whatever it is you love to eat, as opposed to what I was doing yesterday before I blinked and woke up, and, and I was sitting in an office cramming a sandwich in my mouth, right? It's that kind of transformation. We're painting that kind of transformation. Instead of like having to call the sitter and let them know you're going to be late again, and sorry there's nothing to start for dinner, and sorry there's no groceries in the fridge, you're sitting there greeting your kids as you open the door as they're coming home from school, and you've prepared them snack, and you guys get to go to the park, and you get to go to the game, and you get to go be at all their events, and you get to go participate as a parent. It's painting that kind of picture, as opposed to, being stuck in traffic for 3 hours, hoping that they made it to their game and that someone remembered, your youngest one's favorite stuffed animal so they don't freak out, right? Or they remembered their baseball mitt or whatever it is that they're doing. So it's that kind of transformation. It's about painting a relaxed evening. And you're not going to paint all of this, okay? There's no way to fit all of this in there. But as you're going through and looking at the person, for example, who Annie was, right? And the person Annie wants to become, and the lifestyle Annie wants to live, and the ease and the experience, right? In the transformation. Like if she blinked her eyes and woke up the next day and the problems were solved, you're painting that, right? That's what you're doing with transformational copy. I hope that makes sense. So if you always, as Mike Dooley says, again, I'm a huge, mindset person. So Mike Dooley, he says, always and only focus on the end result. Okay. So focus on, the end result of them not buying your product, how their life stays miserable. And then we're going to write that into the end result of buying your product and how they snap their fingers and their life changes overnight. Okay. So when you're pointing this out to somebody, when you're pointing out the end result, make sure that you are talking about how the product impacts or transforms the life of either the person buying it or the person or pet they're buying it for. So for a pet product, you're going to point out the transformation, not only in the household, you have an itchy, upset, barking, wailing, scratching dog, that constant irritating scratching, into, a family pet that's sitting there, joyfully, contentfully, and, relaxed, sleeping on the floor, right? With a partner or a spouse, if you're buying for a partner or a spouse, you're going to paint a picture of how it makes life amazing for both the buyer and the recipient, and the reward of joy that person will receive for buying that. The gratitude they'll receive, right? We're going for gratitude. If it's a parent or a child, you're going to paint a picture of how it makes life amazing for both the parent or the parents and the child, how both of their lives transform. Never leave out the buyer, but always focus on the person they're buying for as well. So to get that end result or transformation, to figure out what people want more than anything else in the world, we're going to focus on Tony Robbins' 6 needs that drive all human behavior, okay? Now, Tony Robbins, I don't think he's ever applied this in sales copy. He's an awesome person, and, he applies this in human behavioral change. But the change we're creating is the change of not buying to buying, right? So we're going to look at these 6 needs that drive all human behavior, because buying is a behavior, because our goal is to trigger that behavior. Just like if you smell a burger, or I don't know if you like burgers, but if you smell your favorite food walking by, like you smell pizza, or you smell a burger, or you smell a salad, or you smell something that you really, really enjoy as you're walking by, it triggers your desire to eat. Pay attention to that next time. Watch for that, like listen for other people talking about it when they walk by and they say, oh my gosh, that smells so good. That's, the salivation you experience and the desire to eat is just a behavior. It happens even when you're not hungry. We can take people who aren't even in the buying state and they're just in the looking state, and we can trigger the behavior of buying by using these same principles. So you want to answer these questions about your product. Okay, and this is in your checklist, so you don't have to worry about scribbling these down. So the need number 1, right? Does purchasing your product create some sort of certainty in their life? Some sort of stability, safety, security, comfort, order, predictability, control, or consistency? If it does that, how does it do that, and what does that look like for them, right? What does that look like in their life? Are they suddenly, not waking up in a panic because your baby gate, because they hear their 2-year-old walking down the hall, but they know that your baby gate is now there so they can lay in bed and wait for their child to go back to bed, instead of waking up every evening, or every morning in a panic. You're going to know, that your child is secure and safe and sound in their bedroom because you put them there behind this baby gate, right? Does it create stability, right? And this can be financial stability, this can be emotional stability, or this can be, health stability, right? So let's say you sell a product that's a supplement, and for some reason you're having a hard time remembering things. You forget your keys, you forgot a birthday, you forgot an important appointment. Does this return that stability to their life? Does it help them remember their keys, remember to take their important medications, remember to pick their kids up from school or their grandkids up? How does it create that? So you can go through all of those and say, does it create safety, stability, security, et cetera, right? And if you look at these and you look through all these needs, and for some reason you can't quite understand what your product creates, email me. I can help you figure this out. Okay, this is kind of a leap for a lot of people, and I want you to be able to understand this. And sometimes we need someone there to help us to kind of make that leap, and we need to be able to have somebody walk us through it with our specific product. So email me. Need number 2. So this is the second need that drives all human behavior. Does purchasing your product create like the spice of life, the joie de vivre, right? By providing some kind of uncertainty or variety. Like, is it going to give somebody an adrenaline rush? Are they going to be bicycling down like steep mountain cliffs and getting that adrenaline rush, feeling alive again? Is it going to make them feel alive again? Is it going to do that in the form of a surprise or a challenge or excitement, or, making life different? If life feels mundane, this will make life feel less mundane, right? Or chaos. Some people are addicted to chaos and drama. I probably wouldn't use chaos in your listing, but there are occasional instances where you do use that. So where you'd use that is in a self-defense product, right? So you could use chaos as a as a regret. Like you don't want your life to spin into chaos. Imagine what your life would be like if you didn't have this product and you were approached by an attacker. Your life would spin into chaos. You wouldn't know how to recover. And that's using it more towards the future pacing regret, right? So also adventure. Like, is this going to make them feel like they have adventures with friends? Like they're living their life fully, right? And what does that look like for them? Is this going to create a change in their life? Some kind of novelty. There it is again. There's novelty. We talked about that before. So ask yourself, does purchasing your product create these things that lend to the spice of life so people don't feel bored? Because some people feel bored and stale and in a rut, and all they're looking for is for you to tell them, your life's, I know that life's been boring, Mr. or Mrs. Adult, but it's about to get really rocking again. So, and explain what that looks like. Okay. I combined 3 and 4 and also 5 and 6. So these are really big ones. The need for significance and love and connection, right? Sorry, I'm trying not to cough if you couldn't tell. So does this product give your customer or your prospect meaning? Does it make them feel special? And a lot of this has to do with their identity as like a parent or identity as a grandparent. Does it make them feel pride? Does it make them feel needed or wanted? Does it make them have a sense of importance, like they're changing the world? Does it make them feel more worthy of love or attention? Does it allow them to communicate, feel unified, and receive more approval or praise? That's a big one. People want, as I know I've mentioned it before, maybe I have mentioned it multiple times, people care more about what other people think about them, and they seek the approval of other people more than they will ever realize. There was a survey done, and it was a generalizable survey. It was I want to say it's American Psychological Association, but it might have been one of the other psych associations that went into that polled people to see, like what would your reaction be? What's the intensity of your reaction and the way you feel if someone thought this about you, if someone thought this about you, if someone thought this other thing about you? What would it be like if how badly do you feel about yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? How intensely do you feel bad about this on a scale of 1 to 10 when you think this, right? And so it went through, and it's like, okay, well, I kind of feel like a 3. If I'm feeling fat, I might feel like my intensity level on that is a 3. Well, what if you go and you say, if someone else thinks you're fat, right? If you hear that somebody else thinks you're fat, people were writing a 10. There was a 6 to 7 point jump in the intensity of the emotions and fear people felt, and because they did not receive the approval or praise of others, right? They also want to, jumping back into 3 and 4, they want to feel attachment to a group or a significant other. If they feel like they're outside of that group, we talked about this a little bit more, if they're on the outside looking in and they want to look and feel like a rich person, and your belt can get them there, or your watch can get them there, or your briefcase can get them there, or they want to hang out with the cool moms, the rich moms, whatever. Your diaper bag can get them there because it looks designer and it's up and coming. If it makes them feel attachment or part of that group or attachment to their significant other, it'll increase your sales. And painting that transformation is important. If it will improve their intimacy with their partner, right? And I'm not going to go too deeply into that, but if it'll improve their intimacy with their partner, or help them get more love or attention or attraction cues from their partner or someone they want them from, that'll help increase your conversions. And again, you're painting this transformation. Not all of these, in fact, most of these may not apply to your product. You're going to want to pick out the few that really do apply to your product and paint that transformation. So needs 5 and 6, I also combined. Needs of the spirit. Does this help them grow or contribute? Okay, so does this help them develop emotionally or intellectually or spiritually? Does it help them go beyond themselves to give or care or protect or serve others? So we use protect a lot. We use care a lot. We don't use give a lot unless it's something it's like a novelty item, like a tea box that someone's more likely to give as a gift than they are to purchase it for themselves, right? So if you're talking about that, you want to talk about how, giving is a great thing. Otherwise, you want to talk about how you're caring and protecting your pet. When you first saw your pet and you vowed to care and protect them for the rest of their lives, you never imagined that you'd be facing this giant battle with an itchy, unhappy, scratchy pooch, right? You really, you're the kind of, obviously if you're here, you're the kind of person who wants to, and kind of, go through and solve the problem. And again, we'll do this in the bullet points. So this is just me rattling off small examples. So that in a nutshell is how you persuade anyone, okay? So I would make a point to, at least, if you're not going to watch this again, I would suggest you watch it again. But I know we're already over an hour on this one module. And if I didn't think it was important, I wouldn't have spent this much time on it. But I swear, if you can master this, you're going to be so much further ahead in life than other people, because persuasion is a huge, huge marker of power. And it's it drives in, it doesn't just drive in conversions and sales that makes you rich. It also makes navigating your life with other human beings a lot easier. So if you have the time to go back through this, please do. If not, at least make sure to download and review your checklist and documents before we go on. And again, we're not going on to module 3. This was, I moved this because I thought it just seemed like it was better here. This is where it made the most sense. So, this one's really important. That's why I moved it to the end. Everything in your listing, and again, this is kind of like going through, when we go through and we say, does this word make them want to read the next word? Does this sentence make them want to read the next sentence? Does this title make them want to read the next bullet point, the next bullet point, the next bullet point, the next bullet point, the description, the next sentence there, etc. Right? Does and this is along those same lines, but go through and make sure every single sentence is triggering either their desire to solve a problem, the focused action you want them to take, or painting a picture of that outcome if they buy or don't buy. Okay, so does everything in your listing, every single sentence, speak to their desire? Does it propose buying your solution by stating features or benefits, and then following in with the action, the focused action they should take, which is add to cart and buy it, right? Take it home. And does it showcase how it helps them get the outcome they desire, the transformation in their life that they desire by using your product? So that is a lot. I do expect people to ask questions if they're confused. Please ask questions. Don't try to go this alone. And also, if you have any other persuasion tips that you like to use and you want to share them with me, I'm always happy to add them to this video. What I did was I took the 126 that I normally do as a checklist, and I said, these are the most important that these guys really need to know specifically for selling on Amazon, e-com products, or for selling e-com products. So this is what you have right now. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Oh, real quick. Mastery homework. Power up your powers of persuasion. Remember to go through on your emails, letters, when you're speaking, and try to use more intensely powerful words, right? Watch people's reaction. You'll either get more pushback or more compliance. Email or speak to at least 3 people to practice gaining compliance using these powers of persuasion. You can do this by deciding which emotion you want to elicit, and you can practice on your kids if you want. So I love to use the words that are by happy to move my kids from a state of sadness because they're disappointed because we didn't get to do something they wanted to do, almost always because we either ran out of time or somebody got sick, right? Moving them into happiness, right? So using those other specific emotion words, the intense words and the transition words on that circle, that wheel, right? Use those to transition people into happiness. You're going to want to use to power up every word so emotion flows. And then as you're going through this week and you're writing your emails and you're speaking to people, use the zombie test. Put by zombies, BY, by zombies, after every verb to see if it's active or passive. If it's active, the sentence won't make sense. If it's passive, the sentence will make sense. So turn it into an active sentence where the noun is controlling or acting on the verb. And we'll see you in the next module.